Okay, welcome back to VXM. All right, so guys, we're going to be working on this Nissan Quest, 2015 Nissan Quest. Needs an engine. V6, 3.5. Fourth letter on the VIN, or fourth digit on the VIN is an A, like an apple. There is no videos on the internet. I mean, we looked everywhere for a video on this to see what the deal is with these, but they are a lot of work. So hopefully this will help somebody out. You can watch the video. It's probably going to be in steps. So if you're not, please subscribe to our channel, VXM. Hit the like button, comment. If you have any comments about what we're doing, let us know. So basically, Josh is going to go start taking this thing apart. He's going to give you the rundown as he goes along, and you can kind of go with us as we do it. All right? So here you go.
All right, so first couple of things. We already took all the pins out of the top here for this to just make it way easier to take the grill out. There's little clips. I'll take it off first. On the bottom here that hold this in, you're going to push these down. They're going to be really hard. You know, they're a pain in the butt to try to get off, but
one's way in the corner.
There's one's way in the corner here. There's two on this side that you're going to have to get your hands back here behind the headlights. You can reach them. And you're going to want a long screwdriver. There's a hole right in here that you're going to actually use to turn this square that they have, kind of like a lock. It's going to be a flat screwdriver. That way you could turn those, that goes back into the square hole. This pops off. Already started to take the air cleaner off here. It's two 10mm bolts, one by the radiator cap, one over here by the battery. Disconnect the battery obviously first.
Leave the doors open so you can put your parts in the car as you're working on it.
And that way you can make sure the lights don't go out now.
All right, so now next thing is you're going to take off what?
I'm going to take off the cover. I'm going to disconnect all the hoses for the radiator. I'm going to drain all the water out of it now. That's going to be the first step. So I'll go along, show you all the different hoses, and I'll start draining the water out. I'm going to take the battery out now and do that. Alright, quick thing real quick. I'm going to take the two wheels off of it. I got it up in the air right now. And I'm going to actually take off this bottom pan right now, this plastic pan. There's a bunch of like screw pop pins that you can kind of see. There's ones here. You can basically see them all. I'm going to take that down so I can get back to all the hoses underneath of the radiator and go from there. Alright, so real quick thing. These pins on the bottom, you're going to take a Phillips screwdriver, and when you're doing it, you're going to want to hold the little edge here, or else they're just going to spin in here, and they'll screw out enough, maybe about that far down, and then you can pull them out. That's how those come off. So I'm going to take this down in just a second. Alright, so a quick thing first. Alright, that pan's off. I'm going to do this a step backwards real quick. I'm going to try to do this as smooth as possible for you guys. I don't like getting wet at all in antifreeze, so I'm going to do this step backwards real quick. I'm going to do the exhaust first because this is all going to have to come off. These bolts are not rusted at all, so they should come off pretty easy, hopefully. And these ones here by the cat, and these back ones here, because this motor is basically, this whole frame, the motor comes out the bottom, so let that kind of soak in for a second. And if that scares you now, I don't know, probably should, but that's okay. So we're gonna start for a little bit backwards right now. I'm gonna take exhaust off, then I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna start doing the hoses and stuff so that, you know, the floor isn't soaking wet and everything else. And hopefully you're not doing this on the ground in your driveway, but if you are, you're not rolling around in antifreeze. You know, do most of the bottom stuff first probably, or just come out next day, wait for it all to dry up kind of. So I'm gonna take those off and go from there. Alright, so I got the exhaust part out. So that's out of the way now. I'm going to take these two side covers off so I can kind of see more in here. On both sides, they're just more of those push pins. And then I'll probably let it down and go from the top. Alright, so we are draining the water out right now of the radiator. There's a little drain there. Before you take the hoses off, warning, it does splash you, as I found out. And went and rinsed my mouth out and everything. It went right in my face. Nasty. So, there's really no right or wrong way to do any of these steps, or however you want to take what apart first. So, I mean, right now, it's up on the lift. I'm going to take the calipers off. We're going to disconnect the strut right here, instead of trying to get under the dash and take the whole thing out from the top there. This is just easier to get to and everything. I'm going to start, because it's up on the lift, I'm going to take these bottom bolts out from the tranny. That way, I don't have to do these ones right here. I don't have to do this later on the ground. And this little access cover. Okay. This little access cover is for all your torque converter bolts. So, you take that off, I'll show you, you're going to spin that around, take all the bolts off. That way, once you get it on the ground and everything, you'll go from the top and just take the rest of the bolts off, and you can separate the motor and the tranny from everything. So, I'm going to do that, and the calipers, I'm just going to tie them up to where the spring is and everything. So, that's done. It looks like I might only have to take this bottom hose off for the radiator and the top one. So I mean, you really don't have to take the, you know, whole radiator and the fan and all the support out. I mean, if you want to, you can, but you know, that's up to you. It's more stuff, less I have to take apart, better. I'm gonna have to take the steering shaft off, so that bolt right there that you can see with the blue, that's just gonna loosen up. That's gonna come off. Wherever these should go to, these are, looks like one is the fuel line and one is, those are the fuel lines. So wherever those connect, somewhere up at the top. You know, some of the stuff you kind of gonna find out what disconnects as we're lowering it. Obviously the obvious stuff and everything, but you kind of just go along. Hopefully this will help you guys, so you kind of already see what you got to take apart. But we're going along with this to see what comes off, what doesn't have to come off. You do it in any step you want. So here we go. Alright, so we got all this stuff off. Got the caliper moved. I took the steering shaft off. Had to heat these up with a torch to get those off. Those never want to come off though anyway. That's why. We're going to take the battery tray out and the computer out right now first.
And the hoses.
And all the hoses. We're going to take these out now. It's kind of drained.
Here.
So, you got that. Gonna use the, you can use regular pliers. Got a special thing to grab them. So we'll get those off.
You gotta get
There's that one. Yeah, and I'll get that out of the way. And that one's really hard to get to on that side.
I don't know why they did it on the bottom.
Oh, whatever. Might just take the top piece of this off, just to move it kind of out of the way, but you don't actually, it's only 2 bolts. There's that one there, and one on the other side, just to kind of give us a little more room. I'm going to take all the air cleaners out now, so I'll find out where all the bolts are for those, and go from there. There's the, looks like 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 back there to get the battery tray out. So we'll start with that. All right, so one thing, you have to take
the hose off.
Oh yeah, take the hose off. Got that one off.
And then there's one ground wire
that goes to the fan. This has got a little clip on it.
Take the clip off. I'm gonna put this right back in here. We don't lose it.
Yep. And then, oh yeah, on the wheels, there's the hub sensors. There's the 2 sensors. You take those off, and then just the bolts back in them. I don't lose nothing. So that comes off there, and that looks like it might be pretty much for the fans and the radiator.
Wow.
Not too much, except for wherever the AC lines are gonna disconnect.
The AC line, that's part of that.
It's probably just gonna be the hoses that connect to the.
You gotta
compressor.
Well, this line has to come off. So see this right here. Look at this. You look through it real close. See this right here. We have to discharge the AC, right? Mm-hmm. That bolt comes out. This thing swings out.
Yeah.
And this line, that line will stay here. This line will come off with the engine. So if you look at it, it's got like a slot.
Yeah.
Okay. But we gotta take all the crap out of the. And then this
bottle, we'll just move it out of the way.
The bottle has to come off so we can get to those other bolts.
Alright,
so on the top, there's a plug. So there's a plug on the top of the air cleaner for the mass airflow sensor. Then you got the bolt, the screw on the top of the hose for the air cleaner. Unclip the air cleaner, the top of the air cleaner sneaks out. Alright? And then look at this air filter. That's like the nastiest air filter I've ever seen. Well, it wouldn't surprise me because if they never changed the oil, they probably never changed anything on this car. You showed them the sludge in the motor?
No. Oh, yeah, I didn't.
You didn't even show them that? Look, check this out. So, this is why we're doing the motor. Watch this.
That's not supposed to be like that.
Yeah. It's like caked everywhere. That motor,
it sounds bad when you start it. It's like
because all the oil's getting stuck on the top.
So
you can imagine this thing it smokes like
it's got 128,000. So they probably never did nothing.
Never did nothing. I guarantee you, they never did anything to this car. So this thing was either a rental car or a leased or something, and they just drove it and didn't do nothing to it.
So I got the 4 bolts out of here, and you take the 2 bolts off of that for the computer.
Okay, the other bolt for the bottom of the air cleaner, the housing, is this one bolt. Okay, now the other thing you got a fuel line here, and a vapor return for the evap here. So those two, that comes off here. It's got a lock. See, this thing actually locks the lines together. So if you look, it's got a little clip lock that's going to come off. So that's going to come off. That's going to come off there. That'll move out of the way. This could stay right here. And then the only other thing, I believe there's this line back here for the vacuum line for the booster. So that goes back there like that. That's got to come off.
I'll have to take the throttle cable off and...
No, this is drive-by. This is drive-by wire. So somewhere there's a harness that plugs everything in.
Never mind. Yeah.
So we gotta find the harness.
What was I looking at? I was looking at something else.
All right.
This doesn't have a throttle cable.
The harness.
Mom's does.
The harness is probably under here when you take this off. For everything.
Well.
Yeah, it's under there.
All right. So let me disconnect all these.
If not,
disconnect
all that's
this
coming
stuff.
All right. Get that off.
Yeah.
All right. So look. So this harness. This has to come off. Stays with the starter. 1, 2, 3, 4. These plugs come off, and the computer comes out. And then there's one. This just holding the harness in place. So that's gonna come off.
Yeah, let me.
It's just a little bolt that hold. It's just like a bracket that holds the right there. See that?
Yeah.
It just holds that harness in place. So 12 millimeter. Take that off.
I got that right here.
And then these snap like this.
Hold that real quick and I'll take this off.
These go like
They should.
They just.
Well, right. Just don't break it off.
This goes like that, and that comes up, and then they come off like that. And you do push this little tab in. Look, see this little tab? Push the little tab in. See it?
Yeah.
Push that in, and then this comes straight up like that, and it actually unplugs it. Like that. Everything's so freaking tight in here. So all 3 of those.
And then we gotta disconnect the heater hoses.
Yep, heater hoses.
There's
those 2 right there. Whoop. So 1, 2. These 2 hoses. So the fuel lines are off. Yep. Computer's gonna be off in about 2 seconds.
And then that'll all come out. Alright, so
the tray is out, the battery tray is out. Now, this one harness, this has to be separated. This one's gonna go down with the motor, this one's gonna stay here with the rest of the car. So these clips, these things suck too, but these gotta go like that. You open them up, like that.
Take all those apart.
Like that, and then this one's gonna go down with the motor, this one's gonna stay here with the rest of the car. Make sense?
Yeah.
And that's gonna stay like that. And this is gonna go down, that's all going down. This, I gotta see how this comes off, because I think this must have some other plug somewhere. Got another plug, I hope. I think it's plugged right here. So I'm going to open this up.
Alright, let me
Right. There we go. That's nothing. Oh, okay, so this has to come off. No? I don't know how to get that off. Alright, so you got 13 millimeter here, just for the transmission cable. Pop that down. Pop this clip up, and the cable comes out. Okay?
Alright.
And that's that. These little clip things, we're leaving everything up here. Alright, that's that. That's that. We still gotta figure out how to get this off. That's gonna suck. Alright, so we gotta figure that part out. And let's see, you got a wire, that stays, that stays.
Yeah, we'll figure out.
Okay, we gotta get the refrigerant out of it. We gotta drain the refrigerant out of the AC.
So just took off the AC line there. There's the one that goes down to that one right here that you take off. Then the power steering hose down here on the bottom. Take that off, that's draining. And that's it for tonight. Come back out tomorrow. I'll let that drain out. We gotta do a couple other things. And we'll get on this tomorrow. Alright, so back on this. We just took this dog bone out. It's got 2 bolts in here.
It goes right in there. So you got 1 bolt that goes in from here.
Which is this side
and that like this.
Like that.
And then 1 bolt that goes in from there. So this, once you take this bolt out, this slides out. And then you got 3 bolts. 1, 2, and 3 in the back. And then this line right here, this hose, if you could see this.
Yeah.
It goes around, and there's a bolt in the back of the intake manifold. A little, right there. 13mm bolt in the back of that.
So I just did that. We just went and picked up the other motor. So just got that. Yeah, so right here, those three, and that obviously this one was broken off from it, but we're gonna use the other one. So we got the new motor, and gonna get ready a few more things, and we'll be able to drop this one out and take what we need off and put it back.
All right, so you got this line. There's a little bolt that holds this on. That was sitting like that. Take the bolt out, and then take this line off. That's the power steering line. That's gonna sit over here. That's going down with the engine. Those three bolts are out. The last thing is this one harness.
Figuring out how to get this cover.
Yeah, we gotta push the clips off. So, 1 second, and we'll get right back on here. All right, so you take the cover off of this, and then you pull these two little tabs, one on one side and one on the other side, and then this slides up and out of the way, and this one harness has to get unplugged and unplugged, and that goes down. Let me see if I can show it to you. So that one harness goes down and gets unsnapped from here. There's a little tab holding it onto the frame, and then it goes with the engine. All right.
All right.
Okay, so there's a clip down here. There's a little clip right there, right? And then this, push down on that, and pull it, and that comes out. And that's it. And then it comes, there's a little clip that's got to come off of there. Just got to get that little clip off. Looks like it turns. It unhooks. So,
Now let's figure out how to get this off.
okay, you got on this.
Yeah. All right, so that just pops out
So this just pops out.
real hard, but
It pops, and then you got to take and separate these two. So this one.
they make these clips so tough to.
Oh man. Okay, so now that stays. That's the battery cable. All this goes down,
With the
and this all goes with the motor. I think they're. I think that's it. Oh yeah, you got those two little bolts that gotta come off.
Okay.
All right, so from underneath we get them two little bolts off. This all stays. This all stays, and that's it.
Sure.
Drop it out. See this? That one harness, there's a little tab right here.
You get it from this side.
You see it?
Yeah.
You see my finger?
Yep.
Pull the little tab, and then this slides off. And that's it. Now all this comes down with the engine.
All right, now we gotta take
Now you gotta take the main bolts out.
all these bolts off down here. There's the ones under there.
Now you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6 main cradle bolts.
You'll see which ones they are.
All right.
From the front, there's the two there.
All right, let's do that. And then you got to do all the accessories, exhaust.
Two in the back.
All right, what size is that? 15, 16, 18s.
All right. Alright, got all the bolts. Those bolts are huge. And that's my foot.
Make sure.
Hang on.
Look at
I Hang on, make sure nothing's coming off.
What is this? This is a tranny line? Oh, break. Here.
Yeah.
Already one thing. Right here. So this is a ground cable. Take that off.
Alright, what is that? 13? Yeah. Right here.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Easier to take off right here.
Alright.
You got the camera with you? Check this out. So after we took the bolts out of here, right? These were rusted, stuck up in there. So once you pry it, and then they popped off. All right, hold this. Let me get that line off. All right, so we got the ground line, ground cable off, and then you got the two transmission lines with a cooler. Those have to come off. Those two lines right there. Little clamped clips. And I think that's it after that. All right. And now that it's out that way, now we got to take it all apart. Separate the motor from the transmission, separate it from the cradle. And then we can put the other one on. All right, so here's what we're going to do first. I'm going to start taking this harness off. Josh is going to start taking the exhaust shield, exhaust manifold off on this side. I'm going to disconnect this whole wiring harness from it. Okay, and then I'm going to take off all these accessories, to take off the belt, take off the alternator, take off the air conditioner compressor. I'm going to take these. The motor has nothing, so they only sell you the engine. It has nothing to do with anything else. This wire, and I'm going to take this harness apart because everything that's on this harness all has to go on the other one. And then we'll separate the actual engine from the transmission, get the rest of the torque converter bolts out, take the starter out. That's about that. All right, so we'll start going with that. All right, so we got some of this apart, and these bolts for the exhaust shield are not coming off. So this side came off with a little bit of a struggle, but the other side's not coming off. So we got to get those off. Get the rest of this wire, the whole wiring harness has to come out of this one. So we got to take the intake manifold off to get all the injector wires off. And the rest of all these vacuum lines and everything. All right, so we got the rest of this harness off. It all gets unclipped from all the injectors, all the coils. So you end up with this big harness here. All these lines, these vacuum lines, these hard lines that were all bolted to the intake, they got to come off right here, here. And then there's two hoses that he's disconnecting, the two heater. There are two water hoses that go to the throttle body. That one's almost off. Oh, then we could pop this intake off.
Move this over here a little bit. So.
What? Can you see?
No, so I can get it.
Let me grab it.
There it goes.
All right. I think that's it. I think so. Get that. Oh yeah! Look at all the oil going into the engine. This is supposed to be dry here, and there's where all your oil. That's why it's burning so much oil.
That's why it's
saturated with oil.
That's why it smokes.
Okay. That motor's junk. All right, and then the tranny fluid that was coming out of it, and you know, it ain't that great either. That tranny fluid's brown. It's supposed to be red. All right.
Hopefully that's not bad.
All right, so got the starter out. Now you'll be able to get to the flywheel in there. Let's see. So you gotta go get the tool to take this off because we need this. It's not on the other one. And then the rest of this harness could come out. All right.